better to come to live class, but if you can't, you can always go back and watch the recording. Yes, Chance, it's your birthday, is what I'm gonna guess. You're 3D printing something? That's awesome. You can share it to the Padlet if you want. I always wish I had a 3D printer. That sounds very cool. Let me grab the Padlet link and put that in chat. But we probably won't be able to look at it until, oh, it's almost done. Okay, perfect. I need to put the Padlet link in Canvas. I keep forgetting to do that. So sorry, I will do that soon. Okay, so I'm going to record before I forget. And I'm going to direct us all to the PowerPoint. I feel like I know most of you. Hi, Lyric. If for some reason you haven't met me before, I'm Miss Yoder, one of the art teachers here. And we are in art and world culture. So I teach two classes. I teach a drawing class and this class, which is more like an art history class. And I will just quickly review the rules, the procedures, I should say. So thank you guys for being respectful and focused in the chat, staying on topic, and of course, keeping that school appropriate. And then we are actually going to have an art project soon. And you, of course, want to keep that school appropriate as well so that it can be displayed. Thank you for being responsible by being here on time. You also want to check your email and announcements daily, work on assignments. Put the Padlet link in the chat, but like I said, we're probably not going to have time to look at it today. We could probably look at it on Thursday. And then, of course, you can be engaged by using the chat box, polling tools, the microphone. You might want to raise your hand first, though, before you talk, since we do have a pretty large group. And I am going to go ahead and activate this slide. Oh, it hasn't started recording yet. My goodness. Hopefully it
Session is being recorded.
Right when I said it. So the question is, have you checked announcements yet for the week? So if you have, you can click on the blue circle, and if not, the green circle. So remember, every Monday we have announcements posted on the home page, and I have the assignments linked at the top. Well, I actually have the whole module linked at the top, I believe. Awesome. So we're like half and half. Okay. I appreciate the honesty. You'll probably want to check those, at some point soon. So where you see the giant arrow over here, that is where you see the announcements. You can also, of course, go to modules, but I do have it linked. Okay, so 61% of you have checked the announcements. Awesome. I do appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay, so I don't want you to worry about this too much right now, but I just want to let you know that this is coming up. So our art project for this class is very open-ended, so it's nothing to freak out about. It can be two-dimensional, it can be three-dimensional, it can be with a drawing app. The choice is up to you as long as it's school appropriate. But it does need to have a written statement that goes along with it. So it's like an artist statement. It doesn't have to be too crazy. A paragraph or two is fine. I have like over 100 students in this class, so actually not doing anything too long is good. But you're going to want to talk about what it is, how you made it, and then your inspiration. Again, we will talk more about this later, but I just kind of, wanted you to let it be in your head and know that it's coming up. And we do have 2 units that we're doing this week, which usually we do. I am going to have a point coming up soon where you just have 1 unit so that you can work on that art project. Yes, Serenity, you can literally do anything. If you have clay, that's okay, Leah. I'm glad you are here. I was just saying that we have an upcoming art project that is very open-ended. It's very student, what's the word I'm looking for? Student generated, like it's, you know, whatever that you want to do that's school appropriate, but you just have the most important piece is that written statement. Not the most important piece, but an important piece is having that written statement. You guys might want to make sure your mics are off when you come in, unless you want us all to hear you. Okay, so Unit 6 and 7. Unit 6 is on the Roman Empire, Christian art, and medieval art. It covers a lot. So last time we talked about Greek art, so now we're moving on to the Romans. We're going to talk about also the characteristics of Romanesque and Gothic architecture. And then Unit 7 is the Renaissance. So we're going to look at work from the masters like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael. And you, of course, have two quizzes. We have quiz 6.15 and 7.13. Don't worry about the artwork. I should have taken that off. Don't worry about the artwork right now. We'll get more into that later. Eventually, you will be creating an artwork. Okay, so remember to mute your microphone, please, as you come in. I'm not sure how to mute well, I could probably figure it out. Just take me a second. Okay, so again, we ended on the Greeks last art time. There we go. The ancient Romans were highly influenced by the Greek art that came before them. Rome lasted from about 20, if you look down here, let me grab my pointer, 27 BC to 1453. So it lasted a long time, but it was about a little over 2,000 years ago. Also, I don't know if this timeline helps you make sense of everything, but we talked about prehistoric art. Remember, art before the written language. And then we talked about the Egyptian art. And then we talked about Greeks, and this is where we are now with the Romans. The question is, can you find Rome and Greece? And also, what do you remember from last time about Greece? That's okay, Devin. We're glad you're here. We're kind of like just getting started on Unit 6. So you can type in chat or you can talk on the mic if you want. What do you remember about just Greek civilization, what they believed in, or Greek architecture? Or the Romans, because they had a lot in common.
I got to see though because.
Yes, Aaliyah, great job. So those columns were a very important part of Greek architecture and Roman architecture. Remember, we looked at the Parthenon last time, I believe. I always get the Parthenon and the Pantheon mixed up, but the Parthenon with the columns, important part of Greek architecture, very good. What about their beliefs? Do you remember what they believed in? As far as like religious, spiritual, yes, very good. Many gods and goddesses, very good. And if you look here, I know you guys don't have pointers, but you can see where Greece is on the map. Here is Italy. We're going to be talking about that soon. But Rome is in Italy, so they're very close to each other. This is Africa down here. This is Europe. So here you can see the names of the Greek gods, and then you can see the names of the Roman gods. They kind of just like kept the idea of gods and goddesses, but just changed their names a little bit. They were big on theater, literature, and philosophy. The Romans copied Greek statues, and in fact, that is why we know a lot about how they look today, because they were able to make copies of them. Okay, Emma, thanks for letting me know. The Greek and Roman artworks are considered classics. I did mention that word last time, meaning they have a timeless qualities. They stand the test of time. Even though they were built long ago, we still consider them to be very beautiful. This is an interesting fact. Early Christian art was found in Roman countries. Talk a little bit more about that later. And then, of course, the Romans had major advancements in architecture. Here are the columns down here that Aaliyah mentioned. This is the building that we looked at last time that was Greek. This is a Roman building. You can see how they were influenced by that style. So the Romans did not invent the arch, but they really did expand on it and use it in new and interesting ways. This is an aqueduct here, so you can see they've got the arch repeated, and it carried water from one place to another. Here they have used the arch to create a barrel vault, so that's like a series of arches. It kind of looks like a tunnel. And then this was invented by the Romans. It is the dome. So it's a curved structure that looks like the top half of a sphere. And this does come from a famous building, which I'm going to see if you remember the name of here in just a second. If you've read the curriculum already, you might know the name of this famous structure. It starts with the letter P. If you know the name of it, you can type it into the chat. Yes, it is the Pantheon. Yay, somebody read the curriculum. Yay. It is Rome's probably most famous structure, made from concrete. That's why they were able to make that dome. And if you want to guess why this was built, you can type that into the chat. If anybody knows the name of this structure here, well, I guess I should say it's the something of Trajan. Does anybody know what word would go here? Yes, Haley, this was built for religious reasons. So it was to honor all the gods. Last time when we looked at that other building, it was built to honor Athena. But this one's for all the gods. And yes, very good, Aaliyah. It is the column of Trajan. So let me go to the next slide. I think it has more information. Trajan was a emperor long ago who had this built to kind of honor himself. It has carvings in it that tell a story about how wonderful and great he is. And it is like 100 feet tall. It's really large. It is still there, so you can go and visit. I don't know how it's lasted that long. I guess they must have, just kept up on it throughout the years. And this, also has been kept up pretty well, so you can go and visit the Pantheon. It's got this really beautiful fountain outside of it. I haven't been there. I want to go there, but I've never been there. And again, it was built to honor all the gods of ancient Rome.
I know. That's why I'm telling us.
Maybe someday I'll make it there.
Get it way back in the back.
And then, as I mentioned earlier, there is evidence that the beliefs of the Romans were beginning to change near the end of the empire because they found early Christian art inside the catacombs. Do you guys know what catacombs are? I've actually been inside catacombs in France, but it's basically where they buried people underground, like a tunnel. Yes, it's where people who died were put. And sometimes they're, like a grave site. Very good. So sometimes they have some cool artwork down there. Yes, underground. And so this artwork is called a fresco, which means they painted into the wall. Shows we've got Christ, and he's surrounded by his sheep. So we know their beliefs were starting to change. Okay, so now we are moving into the early Middle Ages. And what happens is the Roman Empire splits into two parts around 300 AD. The eastern part is known as the Byzantine Empire, and it lasts quite a while until 1453. If anyone has taken world history and wants to add anything to what I'm saying, feel free. I just know the bare minimum. But the capital city was called Constantinople. And if you're wondering where it was on the map, it is where it's currently called Istanbul, Turkey. So it's located in Turkey. I should say was located in Turkey. And their artwork focused on Christianity. So you see lots of religious themes, and I'm going to go ahead and activate this slide. And I want you to, before you answer the question, so we've got an example of Byzantine art here on the right. Do you think that this artwork looks realistic? A is yes, green is no. And I want you to really look at the baby.
Post office.
If you're not sure, look at the baby.
FedEx open on Veterans Day.
Think about Leonardo da Vinci and what his artwork looked like.
Is
We're
mail
having
delivered
that.
on Veterans Day? Here's.
Now we have 66% saying no, 42% saying yes. We have 8 people that have responded, so I'm going to wait for a few more to answer. This is sort of one of those questions that could have some gray area, but I'm going to tell you like what is thought by most art historians about it. But notice that they are in kind of a heavenly setting. You see like the halos that kind of look like astronaut helmets in my opinion. The emphasis is on religion, not on being realistic. So if you picked the letter B, saying that it's not realistic, most art historians would agree with you. Does anybody want to say why they chose that answer?
Will be closed for Veterans Day, so there'll be no mail. But the banks are.
Oh, Dorian's here. Hey.
No mail.
You maybe you've seen some copies of this art. Well, it is real. It does exist, but it doesn't look realistic. So it doesn't look like. So look at the baby, and this is very common in artwork from the Byzantine Empire in the early Middle Ages. The babies look very weird. Like it almost looks like it has the body of a full person. So let me go ahead and go on to the next slide. So 75% of people, oh, I thought I had more information on the next slide. I guess I don't. 75% of people agree with the art historians, though, that it does not look realistic. You've got these really dark, these dark creases in the fabric. You've got these angels with halos around them floating in the background, like not really connected to anything. And then, of course, this very weird baby body that looks like a grown-up person. And so now we're we're staying in the Byzantine Empire, and we are now talking about, and I put the pronunciation up here because I don't want to keep saying it wrong, but this is called the Hagia Sophia, and it is right here. So it's an important monument that is in Istanbul. Kind of a tongue twister there. It was actually built as a cathedral, but then it became a mosque, which is kind of interesting because 2 totally different religions there. And now it is a museum/mosque. So again, a place that you can go and visit in real life. And in the curriculum, they focus on this artwork up here, which is a mosaic. It's a famous artwork from the Hagia Sophia. I want to make sure I say it right. Does anybody in here happen to remember what a mosaic is? Yes, medieval cats also, like babies, look weird in paintings. Some very interesting artwork because, they were kind of, a lot of them were painting, what they thought things should look like. Sort of what they actually look like.
All kinds of remodel.
Does anybody remember what a mosaic is in art? You can type in chat or talk on the mic. You can take a guess. Nice. Nice, Chance. Very good. A bunch of shapes to make up an image with like cut up objects, sometimes little stones. But like if you were doing it at home, you could even use paper. But it's crazy. I don't have a close up of this, but it's crazy to think that this whole thing was made with little tiny tesserae, little pieces of rock or glass, and put together to create this image. And by the way, this is the room in which it sits. So we've got Mary, we've got Christ, and then John the Baptist on the
And
right.
God, Jesus Christ.
I would also like to go to that building someday. I need to plan a trip. Okay, so now we're in the High Middle Ages, and we're talking about this famous tapestry called the Bayeux Tapestry. I'm not 100% sure I'm saying that right, hopefully. And they did talk about this in the curriculum, so my question is, I'm going to activate this slide. Unfortunately, so when I move things to Engagely, sometimes it looks weird, but I'll read off the answers to you. What is a tapestry? Do you think it is A, a type of, A, a type of an ancient weapon? B is a large woven fabric that tells a story. C is a musical instrument played during medieval times. Or D, a style of painting used in Roman times. Boy, that was hard to read. Those covered up by the circles. So we have 5 people that have answered so far, and they are all correct, which is awesome. Got 6 people that have answered, 7 people that have answered, 8 people that have answered. Go ahead and just take a guess, even if you're not sure.
Sorry, my grandpa is just talk over you.
Looking.
Oh wait. Sorry, my grandpa talk over you.
Oh, I heard someone say something, but I'm not sure if they were talking to me or someone else. Or maybe they didn't realize that their mic was on. So just make sure your mic is turned off, you guys, unless you want us all to hear. By the way, I will say that most people have this correct. We have 92.9% of people that have it correct. It is a large woven fabric that tells a story. So we've got this famous textile that was hung in a church during the Middle Ages. Actually, I think you can still go see it. I'm not sure, it's probably in a museum somewhere. But it was embroidered with silver and gold threads. It is almost 1,000 years old, so they must have taken really good care of it. It is 230 feet long, so huge. The reason it's called the Bayeux Tapestry is because it's in Bayeux, France. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It tells the story of William the Conqueror capturing England. We don't know exactly who designed it or made it, but we do know that women were involved in its creation. And also, we've got, I'm going to stop the poll, 100% of people have that right, yay. We've got this interesting little embroidery piece here that is what people think was Halley's Comet. So if you know anything about Halley's Comet, it doesn't come very often. It comes about every 75 years or so. If anybody knows more on that, feel free to correct me. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting to think that the comet went by during that time. I don't know if they knew what it was. And now we are in the late Middle Ages. I know we're kind of going through this fast. I love the late Middle Ages though, because we get to talk about the Gothic style of art in cathedrals. So this is around the year 1150 to around the year 1400. And this is a picture of the Cathedral of Notre Dame. So I'm actually going to activate this and do a word cloud. So, and again, we have 9th through 12th grade in here, people with different classes that they've taken. So we're at all different levels. But my question is, what do you know about the Cathedral of Notre Dame? And also, how would you describe this style? So you can just talk about, like, what do you see, basically? It can be something simple, like tall. Or maybe you know where it's located. Yes, it is Gothic style. Very good. So you can type into that little text bowl your answer. It does have great detail. I don't know how long it took to build this, but I know it was several years. Yes, old. See, an amazing work of art. It is amazing. You know what? I'll tell you a little story too about the Cathedral of Notre Dame. So I actually have been in France. I was only there for a few days though. And we had to, my friend and I had to decide we could either go inside the Cathedral of Notre Dame or go inside the Louvre and see the Mona Lisa. And I'm like, we went inside the Louvre. Yeah, it's from the movie The Hunchback of Notre Dame, exactly, or the book. See an amazing work of art, tall and detailed. Very good. Monarch. Oh yeah, there would have been a monarch at the time that this was built for sure. It is a church. And one thing that I want you to notice are the pointed arches. That's an important characteristic of Gothic cathedrals. So instead of just a regular arch like we saw before, they curve and then it comes to a point. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this poll. Thank you to the people that participated. Hopefully next time we can get more people. Oh, and here's what it looks like at night. Isn't that beautiful? It's big, takes over several city blocks. So when we look at it from the front, it's pretty symmetrical, but when we look at it from the side, it's not. So basically, I never made it inside the cathedral. I saw it from the outside, but since we went to go to see the Mona Lisa, I didn't get to go inside. I've always kind of regretted that. But it's located in Paris, France. I guess this must have been the years it was built, 1163 to 1260. So that is quite a while it took them to build. Mostly symmetrical. Notice that it has it's built in three. So we've got the 3 horizontal spaces, the 3 vertical spaces, and then we have, I mentioned the pointed arches, stained glass windows, kind of hard to see, but there's lots of stained glass windows. And also, I want to point out these things that are called flying buttresses. So this is an important part of Gothic architecture. They built these things so heavy and so high and so elaborate that they had to add on these like supports to the side to help hold up the building. So that's where we have these flying buttresses. I don't know that I've seen the movie. I need to watch it now. You guys are inspiring me. Yeah, so this is so beautiful at night, and right, the stained glass windows, if you guys ever go inside like Catholic church, I mean, most churches have stained glass windows, but the Catholics are really elaborate, and when the sun shines through, it's really, really beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to move on to section 2 when we're talking about the Renaissance. So towards the end of the Middle Ages, we have people that are changing their ideas about what they like and what they don't like. They're no longer interested in the medieval art, and they are starting to return back to the ideas of Greek and Roman styles, which we call classical art. So this starts in Italy, which is here, right next to France, right next to Greece, right next to Spain. And it does spread throughout Europe, but it starts around the year 1300 and it lasts until about 1600. So we've got about 300 years, but very impactful. Renaissance means rebirth. So it wasn't just art, it was a movement in math and science and art. The focus, when you look at their art, is on humans. So instead of seeing humans in heavenly settings, you see humans in earthly settings. So the focus is more on people in natural settings. But I do want you to see, have you guys ever heard of one-point perspective? If you have, you can click on the react button and give me a thumbs up, and if not, thumbs down. Oh, okay, interesting. I taught it in my drawing class. I might have taught it in 8th grade drawing. Basically, it's when you have a vanishing point, and it's kind of mathematical, but you line everything up to the vanishing point, which is where things would appear to disappear, and everything gets smaller as it goes toward that. So this, yes, Haley, you learned that last quarter. Haley, were you in my drawing class, or were you in art appreciation? Really, it's funny how the things overlap. So yeah, well, good. So that was invented during the Renaissance time period. We've got, hopefully you all know that this is Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, probably the most famous painting in the world. And then here we've got a famous statue of David by Michelangelo.
On the car.
And the Ninja Turtles, if you ever watched that show, the four of them are named after the four famous Renaissance artists. So here, look at this for hints to answer the question. We got Donatello right here. Here's the turtle. That's what he looked like. Oh, you guys can't see my pointer. I'm going to stop it for just a second. So, we got Donatello the turtle, and then Donatello the person. There's Leonardo, who did the Mona Lisa. Leonardo the turtle. This is Michelangelo, who did David. He was a great painter, but also he was preferred to be called a sculptor. And then we got Raphael, who painted these things. Okay, so my question is, in the curriculum, it talks about Donatello. The picture, Angeli's doing weird stuff. That's okay. The one that's not working isn't the answer. So my question is, who was Donatello? Was he A, a famous Italian painter, B, a renowned Italian sculptor, or C, a famous Italian composer? It's hard to read those when they're all mixed up. Yes, the Mona Lisa is so great, isn't she? So mysterious. Her eyes just like, they're so creepy and follow you. We have 9 people that have answered so far. And I will say that about half of you have the correct answer. Oh, now over half have the correct answer. 63% of people have, 72% of people have the correct answer. So Haley asked, why didn't Mona Lisa have eyebrows? I think it was just the style at the time to have like really thin eyebrows. Also, some people think she was wearing a veil. So Donatello was a famous Italian sculptor. He did this, the horse sculptor. He to me is like a little less known than the rest of these Renaissance people, but there's a self-portrait. So he was from the early part of the Renaissance, the beginning. This is his statue of David. Sorry, yes, this is his statue of David. One thing you might want to notice is the pose. So he's got the weight distributed on one foot. That is called contrapposto. The body kind of does an S curve. You'll see that a lot in Renaissance sculpture. Also, this was the first freestanding sculpture, meaning you could walk around it and look at it from all sides since ancient times. So he's helping bring this style back. And now we're going to move into what is called the High Renaissance. So this is when we have Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, all those really famous Renaissance painters creating those super famous works of art. So I'm going to talk about Leonardo da Vinci a little bit. He was born in Italy in 1452. He was practiced a lot, but he was also just really born with that natural ability. So when he was 15, he moved to Florence and he apprenticed under a teacher who was famous, whose painting we saw earlier, named Perugino. But soon, he became better than his teacher. He was just so good. His teacher sometimes would have him finish some of his paintings for him, and people would be like, oh my gosh, that part that Leonardo did is better than the rest of the painting. He had a very active mind. He studied math, science, anatomy. That helped him to become better with his paintings. Chance, put it on the tablet. We'll have more time to look at it on Thursday. And of course, he painted very realistically. They did not have cameras invented at that time, so it would have been important for it to look like the real thing. He used sfumato, which is a way of creating a fine haze of the very gradual change from light to dark. here's some anatomy and bone studies that he did to help him to become more realistic. We're not going to get through everything today, but that's okay. We have Thursday to finish, but I do want to activate this slide. So Leonardo da Vinci also painted a version of the Last Supper. Hopefully this looks familiar because it's very famous as well. Is this true or false? Leonardo used a fast-drying paint called tempera for the Last Supper, and it began to flake. If you think that is true, you can click on the A. If you think that is false, you can click on the B. True or false that he tried to invent a new kind of paint and that it started to flake? 7 people have answered so far, and most people have it correct. Yep, we got Jesus in the middle. He is surrounded by his disciples. So this is the last meal that he has before his crucifixion. It was painted around between 1495 to 1498. And here at the Last Supper, he's revealing to them that one is going to betray him. So you see a lot of Bible stories reflected in these paintings, in this artwork. And if you picked A, you are correct. This painting, although very beautiful, is like flaking a bunch because he tried to come up with a new kind of paint that he thought would like dry faster, and it didn't work. So it was actually very sad. He spent like 3 years working on this painting, and then it starts to flake off. Yay, good job. We're going to talk about Northern Renaissance more next time. We'll talk about the mannerism from the late Renaissance more next time. We'll talk about this more next time. I want to go ahead and go to this slide because it is almost time to go. So things to do are quizzes 6:15 and 7:13. We'll talk more about that upcoming art assignment later. And how are you feeling about the assignment so far? If you're feeling good, you can give me the A. Processing, you might be processing, especially with our art assignment coming up. I'm actually going to grab one of the quizzes as well. The first one, quiz 6.15, is due, I think, at the end of the day. So probably better to get that done sooner than later. You want to grab that. It is the link of courses and modules. It is in announcements. It's probably in your to-do list. So of course you do want to at least skim the material before you take that. Okay, good. I don't have anyone that says they need help yet. If you do need help though, the days I can help you one-on-one would be Monday during office hours. Some of you, I've sent messages to you saying please come. Or on Thursday. All right, good. Does anybody have any questions before I end this session? All righty.
No questions.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. If you think of something, you can always email me. Or you can ask me Thursday. And guys, thank you so much for being here and your participation. And Chance, I'll look for your 3D image on the Padlet, and we can probably look at that next time when we have more time. All right, have a great day, everybody. Bye. Thank you for being here.
Ta-da!